Welcome to Iceland. My name is Gylfi, and I will be your brutally honest guide while we explore the village Skagaströnd that is situated on the Skagi Peninsula in North Iceland. It is the home of 450 souls and a part of a municipality that somehow got left out when all their neighbors got together, merged, and formed the Red Municipality, Húnabyggð, without the village Skagaströnd. So is this a sign of independent thinking, or does this indicate that the people in Skagaströnd are just too dull to work with? And it's only one way to find out. So welcome to Skagaströnd. The town's name, Skagaströnd, means the coast of the peninsula. So we have a simple town's name to work with this time. And I had to think about it for a while if I should include the complete peninsula in this video. And decided to give the coastal road its own video, since it's a very rural part of the Arctic coastway that deserves a special treatment. And it makes this video a bit simpler as well. But the town Skagaströnd is not by highway number 1, little over 20 kilometers away from the village Blönduós, that is by the official ring road. Those 20 kilometers make a huge difference when it comes to tourism. As for the traffic volume that goes through the town, like this is the petrol station in Blönduós, and it's a big workplace, open from early morning until late night. But 20 kilometers away in Skagaströnd, they only have this sorry-looking shed. That was until just a few years ago operated by a big company in Reykjavík that imports fuel and operates roadside restaurants all around the country, but they gave up on doing business around here. And that didn't sit well amongst the locals, of course. So they rented this shed from this big company and kept the operation going, so I could get my burger when I drove through the town. And this is telling you a bit about how the ring road has this big impact on service availability around the country. But despite the lack of traffic, Skagaströnd is not an isolated village. They just got the highway into town from Blönduós improved. And there is another road that runs across the peninsula to the village Söðurkrókur, the main service center in the northwest. And for those who prefer even more service, they go all the way to Akureyri. So it takes less than 2 hours to do some serious shopping. And as for the connection to the south, we are a little over 3 hours away from the capital. So as for road connections, they have it all. And when we look at the surroundings, it's best to start with this mountain, Spákonufell. And what makes it special is the fact that it combines the history of Iceland, local history and myths, and hiking up there during summer is one of the main tourist attractions around here. The elevation is a little over 600 meters on a 7-kilometer long trail from where we can get great view over the entire peninsula. And the mountain's name, Spákonufell, derives from the first recorded resident of the town, who was called Þórdís Soothsayer. And that story goes all the way back to the settlement of Iceland in the 10th century. The story of Þórdís is especially interesting for the fact that she is mentioned in 4 separate ancient sagas of Icelanders, in addition to the local tales that describe her as a witch that spent her days up on her mountain, Spákonufell, where she was combing her hair with a golden comb, like she expected to be the first famous social media influencer in Iceland. But things did not end so well for her. According to local myths, her life ended after a fight with a priest. The priest had a sheep, and the sheep loved to eat grass from her mountain. So Þórdís took care of the sheep, and the priest took care of Þórdís. And according to that myth, she had this thing with Christians. But that part of the story has, however, been called into question by historians. There is a discrepancy in timing when it comes to the presence of the priest in the district, while Þórdís was there. And if we go back to the old Icelandic sagas, we find Þórdís there as a highly respected woman. She was a landowner. Men sought her advice as a mediator. She was rich, and she left her fortune when she died to churches. And not just that, her foster son became the first Icelandic missionary, Þorleifur Víðförli. So what remains is a question. Could it be that she was the first female leader in Iceland? And were the witchcraft tales just an attempt to ruin her legacy, since it was just too big for a woman at that time? And despite what might be wrong or right in that, there is a museum in town that celebrates her as the first confirmed residence in Skagaströnd. And I always like it when towns of this size have something other than burger grills to show to information-thirsty travelers. And it takes a special kind of person to try to make such business work. But what do people who live here do for a living? That is one of my basic questions I ask in all my town videos. And this time I discovered a little lack of online information. And that took my script into a new direction from what I had previously planned, because I made an exception to the rule of not bothering the municipal authorities while sourcing information, because I gave them a call to fill in a few gaps. And I was, of course, very honest and told them that my coverage would be brutally honest. And like in many of the small towns around the country, the representative who picked up the phone was very nice and helpful and provided me with way more information that I asked for, although he might already regret sending some of them to me, because he told me about a little tourist venture going on there. Last year, they had this diamond-shaped bird-watching hut designed, built, and bolted down on the basalt rock on those cliffs there, likely on an old magma intrusion, and it's a great location. And this happens to be my private department. Bird photography is where I started, although I tend to do way more videos nowadays. And I was, of course, very grateful when I was informed about this idea, about this shelter. And the town representative, he was very proud of this hut. So proud that he sent me a link to a TV coverage about it. This was covered in a national TV. And he was, of course, trying to push this concept as a tourist attraction into my video. And doing a great job until I looked at this video. The link he had sent me. From there, it took me only a few seconds to see that this hut was not designed by a birdwatcher and definitely not by a photographer. And if you haven't noticed the design mistake already, what we have are two big windows that get dirty as soon as they have been cleaned. And those windows, they can't be opened. What we need here are smaller units that can be opened, depending on the task and the wind. So I sent a letter to the town, protested the design, and suggested that the town authorities would change this, because this is as usual design as if the local burger joint would be without doors and windows. And to make my point, I told the town's representative that I would be brutally honest in my review. And I even told him that I didn't pay over $2,000 for my bird lens with some of the best polished glasses in the world, just to put a dirty window with salt stains between my lens, glasses, and subjects. And I was actually being fair. I was giving them a chance to influence my video, give me a reason to recommend this hut, because I just can't. And the other reason is clear. This location is a great idea, and it can do way more than just to be a shelter for those who are going after the birds. I was thinking about the open sea, the northern lights, reflection from the sea, and there we are into winter tourism. extra reason to come visit this town. And I would not be making such a big deal out of this hut if it wasn't for the fact that I am giving good advice for free. People have paid me actually in the past for doing work like this, to come up with ideas and push them forward. But as for the local administration, they were clearly in no mood to accept my free advice. And many people in my position would just have left things like that. But not me. I was having fun. I was pushing buttons, checking the reflexes, analyzing the market department in a town that doesn't seem to exist. But those people were, however, very nice and said, why don't you come over and look at this beautiful facilities for photographers? And then you can keep on whining. And it so happened that I was going on a volcano tour just a few days later. So I stopped by. And that is why I have this winter footage, or from the second trip, because more questions had popped up. Like I was asking myself, how come that while I was filming the first set of videos, that I didn't notice any sign telling me about this hut? Was it my mistake, or is the location a secret? So as I drove into the town for the second time, I was looking for a sign, but there was nothing by the road. So I thought, surely I must find some information where the trail to the hut starts. And there is an information sign there that doesn't mention this hut. And I kind of knew then that they are awful in marketing. And that is also one of the reasons why I'm doing those videos. Like the official Arctic Coastway homepage that is supposed to work for these towns and others along this route. It was showing the road along the peninsula as closed during winter. So they were in fact doing them more harm than good as for winter marketing. They were saying that this place here, you cannot come here. Or this place here. Or this place here. And I say this not to insult the local people. I say this because I like this town. It's a likable town. And I think it has the potential to become a strong and interesting tourist destination. And the main reason why I contacted the town authorities was to inquire about their plans to convert this old herring factory into a luxury hotel. And I think this is a very exciting project. So when this becomes a hotel, it will be a hotel with a soul from day one. Hotel with a history. And the history of the town starts as a trading post for the Danish monopoly traders, while Iceland was a part of the Kingdom of Denmark. But Skagastrand didn't start to form for real until the motorboats came in the 1920s. That is when the population growth took off. Then came the herring era, and Skagastrand became one of the Icelandic Klondike towns. The herring was making everybody rich. But that era didn't last forever. Due to overfishing, old herring factories can be found all around the country. And those old factories, they became symbols with stories of communities in ruins, even never to recover. And that is what makes this project especially interesting, or to turn that around. Make the building stand for something else than the misery that took over after it shut down. And it is also a business idea that could come up with many jobs for the community. There have been many ups and downs here, and after the herring era, it was not until the trawler fishing venture began that the village woke up again. So many of the houses around here, they are from the 1970s and 80s, and we can actually see it through the architecture in many small Icelandic towns, how the fishing was going and when. And Skagastrand, although it is a small town, they came home with the first fully equipped factory trawler, or a fishing ship that would freeze all products aboard. And today, most of the Icelandic big fishing ships, they are of such kind. But there is a drawback. The freezing plants, they disappear. Those jobs are gone. And then we got a fishing management system based on fishing quota. And the fishing quota could be sold between companies, even towns or counties, and that would ruin many communities. And to make that story short, Skagaströnd did not come out as a winner. And after the turn of the century, all the fish processing was gone from the town. Most of the fishing quota had been sold. The shrimp processing, which was a huge industry, it was also gone due to overfishing in the bay, and many jobs were lost from the local economy. However, this is showing that there is no giving up. They have a quite large fleet of small fishing boats that brought in 8,000 tons of fish in 2024. They have a local fish market. They are improving the harbor and in a way going back to basics with the small boats. So the economy has bounced back for some part, but they are still struggling. They have managed to get public online jobs moved to the town from the bureaucracy machine in Reykjavík. But Reykjavík is not as supportive as it comes to communication. So Skagaströnd is the only Starlink backed up municipality in Iceland, telling us that these people here, there is nothing stopping them. We have the same story going on here as in many other small towns around the world. If there is a lack of diverse employment opportunities, the young people will leave. That isn't very complicated, but I like the attitude. They are always trying something. Like one of the companies in town is a marine biotechnology company established from the goal to undertake research in the bay. So it's a long-term task. The municipality of Skagaströnd owns the company. It's financed from the state budget and research grants. And the town is also growing from arts and tourism. And they even blend that together because they have a artist residency where artists from all over the world come to work, which also attracts other visitors. And I think it was an excellent idea. It has resulted in increased flow of people in the town, and they are using the tourist infrastructure during winter. And as for the question, are the people here dull? And I think the answer is no. These people will always keep on trying, although they have no clue about marketing. But I think it's going to change. Like tourism is no longer this summer industry it used to be. Downtown Reykjavík has nothing but tourists all year round. At the same time, big parts of Iceland don't get any attention at all. So there is a reason for why I made a video recently where I talk about the misunderstood ring road and how it is in a way misleading tourists. So I recommend that video if you're planning a trip to Iceland. And during my second visit, where I was filming the hut, I filmed the coastal road as well. So I have another video coming up from this area soon, since I'm not just covering every town in Iceland. I'm also showing places of interest nearby. And like you noticed, this video was not sponsored by the local municipality or any local business entity. And if it would be so, the bird watching hut would have been wonderful. I would have loved it, or something like that. And it was actually the only thing I didn't like during my 2 tours there. And my purpose is always the same, to talk about things as I see them, so I can do my own approach, however it may turn out for the towns I cover. However, I will replace some of my videos by time. Later versions may include more recent footage, better footage, or just more information. So if I were to replace this video in like 3 years, it might include a new hotel and even a usable bird watching hut. And until my next town visit, feel free to use my sponsor links in the video description so I can do my videos like I want them done. And with that, I'm sending you best regards from my home country, Iceland.